I have a lot of clients who have a very analytical mindset. That means that we process things strategically, step by step. This particular way of thinking is really useful in your career, but when it comes to your love life, it doesn't get the same results. So today I want to share with you, after 10 years of coaching, what to do as an analytical thinker to actually get positive emotional responses in your dating life. Now, if you're an analytical thinker, one or all of these may apply to you. Number one, when you're having conversations, you love to find the solution to a particular problem. Number two, you like using data-driven decisions and convincing and arguing with people to make sure that you are right, because being right has got you to where you are in your career. You think about input versus output. You think linearly about what could happen when you do certain things. You tend to think about dating in terms of a transactional nature. I have the money and the career, she's got the looks, therefore she should be attracted to me. Hot girls should line up at my doorstep, which is actually exactly what I thought in my 20s when I landed my first Fortune 500 job offer. May it come as no surprise to you that nothing happened after I got the job, the nice apartment, the car. No girl showed up at my door knocking, looking for a boyfriend. Okay, so there are really two paths to take if you're an overthinker, if you're an overachiever, you're very analytical. And I've coached probably at this point over 576 clients. And I can tell you that the majority of them travel one of these two paths to get the results. The one path is, if you are good at memorizing things and you're analytical, it's actually good to have what we call structured game, like things that you memorize that you can say. And a lot of these guys get flack from people because they think that you should be natural and you should not be memorizing lines. But the reality is that it's better to be prepared than not. And you're memorizing the lines so you can get better and understand what it feels like to have that emotional response from the girl, to be in control of your dominance. These lines are designed as training wheels for you to know what it feels like to be a guy who's attractive. They're not used to manipulate people. They're not used to like say this and button push and get this reaction. They're made to help you understand what the experience is like. The other path to take is the complete opposite, which is what we call like an improv class, where they fine-tune how it feels to be in a situation. And these are the guys that are analytical, but they don't have good memorization. And a lot of times they have to come out to see me in person to understand the experience and the energy of what it feels like to be, say, in a playful mood, to be teasing her a little bit, to be leading the interaction forward, okay? To understand what that experiential energy field feels like. And once they get there, very quickly they get it, and then they can fill in the words. Analytical memorization, understanding what the experience is like by saying the words and the way they're said, versus experientially following the energy field and then putting the words to that experience. This one usually requires a coach and in-person training. It's hard to do on your own. The other one is you can do on your own and you can calibrate and practice if you can memorize the lines. On this path, we use a lot of therapeutic approaches, cognitive behavioral therapy, resolving past trauma blocks about belief systems, limiting beliefs. A lot of inner work here. We also do inner work here, but here you can still follow the steps and still get the result, and it's more structural. So today I'm going to talk about the structural part, because I don't know you individually, but what I do know is that these structural parts work for my clients who are very analytical. So the first step is really having a good look, because without good style, the overall game becomes a lot harder. And no matter how you look now, you can improve your look. And I discovered 8 universal style attraction triggers, and you can find them here or in the link in the description. After that, your nonverbals, your body language, all of those we can work on one-on-one, but the most important thing really is the opener. And it's not what you say, it's how you say it. My opener has always been, yes, I'm interested in you, but I'm not sold yet. So a really good opener I use is, you looked interesting and I wanted to meet you. What is your name? You look interesting. I'm not complimenting her beauty. I'm not saying you're beautiful. I'm just saying you might be interesting. Let's find out. That's my default opener. It works for me almost all the time. You can find your own, but the principle is give her a little bit of value, but don't compliment her beauty. Don't give her too much value. You're there to seek the truth. You're not sold yet. You're just taking a test drive to see how this interaction goes. After the opener, guys get lost, right? So there's always a transition. Transition can move into a cold read or story. A cold read could be, you look like you are someone who works in tech, and I want to say you live in San Francisco. Okay, that's a cold read. and she could either agree or disagree with you. A transition to a story will be something about your life. You know, I know this seems kind of random, but I just moved to San Francisco. And one of my goals this month is to talk to people that I normally wouldn't meet. And I thought you might be interesting. So, who are you? I'm Giovanni. Nice to meet you, right? So that begins that conversation. Sometimes during the transition, the girl may look confused or she may reject you. If she looks confused, what you want to use is a statement of empathy or a statement of intent. A statement of empathy is something like, I know this seems really random, or maybe you get guys approaching you all the time. But I just thought, I really like the way you put your style together and I have no other intentions, okay? A statement of intent is usually like, I thought you looked cute, to be honest, but I wasn't sure if you had a good personality. So that's why I'm here talking to you, right? Or a statement of intent could be, you know, to be honest, I really did like the way you were put together. Not just how you look, but your style. And I wanted to say hi. I'm not expecting anything. I'm just trying to meet people that I wouldn't normally meet. And if it gets awkward, I can leave. It's not a big deal, right? So I'm always reassuring her with statements that I'm socially aware that if she's not interested or if it gets awkward, that I will just leave. But in the meantime, I'm here and I'm putting myself out there to seek the truth, to see if there is a truthful connection here, be it friendship-wise or maybe something more intimate. I'm there to find out what the truthful connection is between me and the girl that I would like to get to know. And as a guy, when you learn to do this, you build social momentum where you become this attractive guy who's not afraid to put himself out there and not care about the outcome so much. The only outcome you should care about is taking one step forward, because even if you fail, number one, you learn something. And number two, you've gained social momentum and you've gained confidence in yourself to be able to take action. After that, the opener, the transition, and then what we call premise, or what I call anchoring or statements, you get to a point where you're like, well, is she interested or not? And usually at this point, I'll throw in what we call a temperature check. So it's like, should I leave? Or like, are you enjoying this conversation? Sometimes a girl will have a hard to read expression. Other times she'll really engage in the conversation. And if she's really engaging in the conversation, I don't need to do this. But if she's not, I'll say, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much are you enjoying this conversation? Should I just leave? Or you could say, I can leave if you want to. And if she doesn't say anything, I continue the conversation. And then what I do is what we call qualification. So I ask her questions or I make statements based on my life rather than trying to relate to her life. Most guys are like, oh, you do yoga? I do yoga too. Oh, you work at tech? Well, me too. I live in San Francisco. I work in tech. They're trying to convince her that he's cool enough. But instead, I qualify her for my life. Do you salsa dance by chance? Do you prefer tea or coffee? Do you do any exercise or the movement of your body? No, not that. Get your mind out of the gutter. I'm talking about like dance or yoga or Pilates, right? So I'm qualifying her behavior to whether or not she fits in my lifestyle. And this communicates two things. One, I'm a guy who sees value in myself. And two, I have standards. From there on, it's usually a pretty smooth conversation. And always remember, I always go for the close because you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So I'll say something like, you know, would it be crazy if we exchange numbers and continue this conversation later on? Or if I ask her for tea and I prefer tea and I find out she likes tea, I'll say something like, how about I send you an invite the next time I go for tea? And she'll be like, yeah, that's cool. I'm down for that. So you can do that as well. Okay, but the point is always close it out and go for the close. Otherwise, you just spent 10, 15 minutes talking to her. Maybe you improved your skill, but then you lost the contact. Go for the shot, even if you miss. When there's a value differential between how she looks and perhaps your perceived value, I do what we call a takeaway. A takeaway can be physical or nonverbal. A takeaway is an indication, a cue that you're not afraid to walk away. So a takeaway right now on camera could be, yeah, guys, you know, I'm talking to you about this YouTube video, but yeah, let me finish the video, right? So this is a physical takeaway. A verbal takeaway could be, you know, thank you for watching the video. I'm gonna head out to lunch. But before I do, I wanna leave you with one last tip. So when you're doing a takeaway, when you're talking to a girl, it could be, you know, I do have to get back to my friends soon. But before I do, why don't we exchange contact? So we can continue this conversation later on, okay? Takeaway is a powerful verbal or nonverbal cue that you're a guy with abundance. You're not afraid to just leave the conversation. You're not there needy, wanting something from her, okay? It's very unattractive when a guy needs a result to happen. So those are like the basic analytical steps, right? And when you know what to say in each one of these steps, when you memorize the lines, it gives you the opportunity to be in those social situations and to feel what it means to correctly start a conversation, what it means to ask her qualifying questions, to be a guy who has choice, or at least try it on and see what it feels like, to know how to go for a close, or to know how to be a guy who's like, I'm not afraid to just walk away, right? This is why we memorize lines, and this is why we practice them. And it's not the lines themselves, it's the principle and the experience of what those lines bring to you. The willingness to walk away, the ability to lead, the ability to be brave and open, the ability to show some level of dominance in your communication to convey to her that you're a guy of value, right? The ability to actually listen and make statements of empathy and statements of intent, to put yourself out there. These are the experiences I want you guys to have if you have an analytical mind, so you know the experience and what it feels like. And over time, the lines that I gave you, you can take them and kind of make them your own. The training wheels on the bike come off, and you can actually ride and run your own type of conversation that's congruent to who you are, okay? I totally sympathize if you're an analytical guy. I was for a long time. I didn't understand social cues. I couldn't understand why girls weren't attracted to me until I learned the lines and understood the principles behind these lines and why they work. So if you want more help with this, if you want the exact lines step by step, if you want to see me in field showing you breakdowns of how I talk to women, actual live footage, check out the first day formula at this link and in the description below. I hope that if you have an analytical mind that this video was useful for you. Please leave a comment whether you have a question or if this video helped you. You may want to like this video and also subscribe for more videos that will come out that will help you improve your social skills. My name is Giovanni and I'll see you in the next one.